of all the documents, I'm like, oh my God, the Bible's my favorite document.
The farewell address is not just a letter that says, Washington, I'm the best president ever. I got all these things right. It was actually a sincere reflection. It was written by Hamilton, but Washington obviously have the values and the ideas.
It was written by Hamilton. Why don't you just write another Hamilton too? You know how rich you'd be if you'd have wrote Hamilton?
Yes.
Washington, a new Broadway play by Sherman Tylasky.
Got to call up Lin-Manuel
If you can't rap, this is never going to work.
I wish I could rap. I try to rap, but I only do in the shower.
Hamilton really wrote that.
He did. Because Hamilton was a lot closer to Washington because they were more of the Federalist side. We had the Federalists and the Anti-Federalists. And unfortunately, with regards to that letter, it was a reflection on some of the warnings and the mistakes that Washington made during his presidency. I mean, he made mistakes. Who knew, right?
This handwritten farewell address, which we're not going to read every word. Is it really handwritten? Do you have a copy of it?
I do not. Although you can maybe you can authenticate it at the National Archives.
My audience would be like, oh man, I want to see that later. I mean, but thinking about writing from the 1700s, that they all write so beautifully with quill pens, and some of the science applies, but not really, because most of the science started in the 1920s. But he did write elaborately and beautifully. Was everyone educated enough to write back in like 1780, or only the senators, the most? Do you have any idea about that question?
I would lean more towards the latter. I believe that it really takes that effort. And to your point about the writing, what's so fascinating about the farewell address and some other writings by other signers too, which I cover in my podcast and part of the George Washington Institute, is that everything is worded so delicately, so carefully. And the choice of words, I mean, I feel like we don't have that sort of ponderance anymore when it comes to words.
You're saying Elon Musk doesn't ponder over every tweet when he's drinking, making his 10th child?
Doesn't ponder as long as Washington.
He definitely is not a ponderer. He's a fornicator, but not a ponderer.
Yes. And it takes a lot of skill, it takes a lot of experience, but I think that's the beauty of writing, and that, especially in that day and age, which is putting that ink on paper.
Well, one of my companies gets a lot of requests. Like, I think we have an early version of, George Washington's or Lincoln's drafts, because he did have drafts, they did make edits, and then they had new drafts. They didn't have typo machines. So literally there's people that have found these in the attic, and Lincoln actually had them photocopied and distributed them to his peers and said, hey, is this okay for like the Gettysburg Address? And there's all these people that have fake documents, and they're literally lithographs from like 1905, because they don't know, but they're still old. Like, that's the kind of like crazy world that, we're associating with the handwriting. I don't know what this farewell address that you speak of, sir, because we got off on being funny.
Yes.
Tell me more about why this document. Okay, of all the documents, I'm like, oh my God, the Bible's my favorite document. For Sherman, it's a farewell address that none of us have ever read.
Yes.
You're such a geek on this. I like it, though, but I dig it.
Too much of a geek.